Right, good morning, esports fans. How are we doing? Right, testing color ranges this morning. I'm not sure this actually affects games. Might do. It's meant to only affect videos, but maybe it affects games as well. So we'll see in a sec. We'll have a look in a second. Um, so what do we want to do here? It's the other thing I was going to test as well. I'll play that afterwards. Hey Zeppo, good morning. How you doing, sir? Yeah, I'm going to test some color ranges. So at the moment, I've got it on full. I don't know whether this affects video games. I know it says video, but I don't know whether it affects video games. So, but I think this is one of the things that made my stream really good yesterday. Was that I changed all my Logitech webcam and I changed the capture card from full color range to limited color range. And you can see that what it does, limited color range, is it drops the RGB anything up to 16 and anything over 235. So it's dropping the really light whites and it's dropping the really darks, blacks, and it's kind of keeping everything in the middle. And that puts less demand on the GPU. Now, obviously, Fortnite Fortnite is not particularly GPU bound unless you turn up all the graphics. So I don't think this is going to make much difference or any difference, but we'll find out. So I'm happy with the changes I've made on my streaming PC to have those as limited. I'm going to keep them. That looks good. And I swear I look crisper because it's obviously doing less work. So let's see what it does to the actual game. Let's see. So at the moment we're running full. So let's run a replay through full and go from there. Might grab a replay from yesterday. I like to keep them up to date. Local app data, Fortnite games, saved, demos. Okay, so I've only got 2 in here at the moment. So let me grab one from the D drive, my Windows environment, and maybe even sort by size. Let's get a Whopper. Let's get the biggest one I can find. There we go. 29. Oh. Copy, wait, stop that. Copy that. Go back into here. We'll have a look. We'll have a look in it to start with to see where's a good spot. So career replays. Right, there we go. This one. Play. This one we've got. So what looks busy? Right there looks busy. Don't really want it if it's bots. But if it's chaos, I'm happy to have it. That's not good. Why is that not kicking in? Okay. Come on. So what's that? 9 minutes to 12 minutes-ish? 9 minutes to 12-ish. So 12 to, not bad between there and there, 13. Fourteen to 17. That looks alright. 14 to 17. Right, who knows there's 60 times tables? What's 14 times 60? 1260s is 72. 720. Add another 60, add another 60. So that's 840. Yeah. Can I make 40? 14 minutes? There we go. Alright. So let's run this through twice, because first we'll show you the cache. Then for first to say the cache, then for recording. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, 840. But what you're seeing on screen is the limited, because I'm limiting the capture card and I'm limiting my webcam. So what you're seeing right now is limited. So I watched it back on my TV last night and it looked really good. So you get 1080p, it just, you don't notice that you haven't got black blacks and white whites. I mean, I'm more concerned that there's a processing overhead by limiting it. By having full, I'm assuming you just show what you're given, and by limiting it, there's some kind of processing overhead to strip those colors out. But maybe not. It's the CPU processing I'm worried about, not the GPU processing. The other thing I wanted to look at, because I've been getting wide cruncher errors if I go too high with my amps in the BIOS, the current limit. So if I go higher than 330, I get wide cruncher errors. So I wanted to look at whether or not it could be my memory overclock stressing my CPU memory controller. So I was thinking about just going right down to XMP, or even turning it off completely, running the wide cruncher test again to see if it's then stable at 400 amps. Because I'm meant to be able, according to Intel, you should limit to 400 amps. I mean, my temperatures have been lower now that I've been going from 400 down to 300. But I mean, if you look at the actual hardware monitor while you're running a game, you're never anywhere near 300 or 400. So I don't understand. I don't think the game has a problem. But even if I run wide cruncher, it's not getting near 300 or 400. So it's weird. By limiting the amps, it seems to limit the performance, but then not give errors, even though I'm not going anywhere near that limit. It's really weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe there's some kind of peaks that it doesn't record. Anything I can think of. We go back to the power equals amps times volts. W equals A times V. You're limiting two of them at the moment. I'm limiting the power, the PL1, PL2 to 320. And then if you limit the amps as well, then that kind of handcuffs what the volts can do. And if you're absolutely limiting what the volts can do, then if it needs a lot of power and you've limited the amps, then the volts can't go up as high as they need to, and then you get a crash or you get a performance issue, or it has to drop the frequency of the CPU from 5.9 down to 5.6 or something. So by handcuffing two of those things in that three-thing equation, you're kind of probably messing up the VID voltage frequency table. It's asking for a certain voltage and it's saying, oh, you can't have those because it needs this much power and this much amps. So the frequency has to be lower. Seesaw. So one of the things I want to look at today is seeing if I can get my current back up to 400. Stable. As I say, I'm not sure what dials I have to play with to kind of, if I turn that one up, I'll have to turn that one down, and so forth. I mean, overclocking this CPU is not happening. You have to kind of handcuff it to get it to be stable. Underclock. It's crazy. This is an enthusiast CPU that should be able to overclock. And it's quite the opposite. We'll see what happens with the microcode in August, in mid-August that Intel are releasing, but I don't know whether they're giving it to the microcode changes. I don't know whether they're giving it to the motherboard manufacturers in mid-August, and then we have to wait a bit longer for the motherboards to give new BIOSes, or whether mid-August is the time frame for when we get everything. We'll just get the new BIOS update with the microcode. I don't know. Alright, so let's have a look. Color range. Whoa. That was one of those. Just make sure it looks alright. Yeah, okay, no big frame spikes. Good. Well, I don't like how much stuttering there was there, though. 0.5 stuttering. That's quite a lot. Am I in DX12 or something? What's going on? That's very high. That should be about, that 30 number should be about 15, 12. Now I've got a black screen of death. Seriously, I got a black screen of death. My keyboard's gone off as well. Keyboard's come back on again. Yeah, that just automatically rebooted. Well, that's not good. What's that about? I only ever get that when I'm what? It's running a Windows update and did a reboot in the middle of what I was doing. Really? Really? I'm gonna go and check the settings for that. Naughty Windows. That rebooted in the background. Crazy. Not a black screen of death at all. It just decided to reboot on its own. Yeah, I'm on early today because I've got some work to do this afternoon, so I thought I'd get some tests in quick. Right, I mean, does that invalidate the last test? Now I seem to be on a different Windows version. Probably does. Thank you. Okay, pause for a million weeks, please. I've got to check until the end of the month, or next month. 2 months. Okay, let's let's just run. Let's run a CTT. Let's start again. Always something, isn't it? Let's clean this bad boy off. Upgrade all. Make sure everything's up to date. There we go. Those guys. Take those. It's useful, CTT, for keeping your stuff up to date. Thank you, Mr. Chris. Bum, 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 bum. Hurry up, please. Do, 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 do. Oh, come on. GeForce Experience. Is that going to mess up my... That better not mess up my... Oh, really better not mess up my overlay for latency. It's updating GeForce Experience. We'll find out then if whether it's the driver or the experience version, I suppose. Once and for all. Yeah, so what other tools have I got to play with? Why Cruncher, huh? So to get this thing stable, I need to reduce my amps down to 330 from 400. Anyway, it's running stuff in the background. It's normally about 21. If I turn on more hyperthreading cores and more E-cores, this would be a lot lower as well, by the way. It's just a way of testing that it's stable. The other way to test whether your CPU is stable is going to Cinebench R15. I've tried Extreme. And just do a run in here. If it freezes, then you know it's not stable. Yeah, look how much lower that is while I'm doing stuff in the background. It's still doing this. I've gone from very consistent 4,166, 4,165 down to 3,800. Is that done? I might run that again. Wait, what did I just get? Still really low, 3,887. Well, that Windows update did, but I need to fix whatever it did. Standard. All of these, don't want that one. So run all those. It's running. Where is it running? I don't see it running. Okay, that's being weird now. Where's it running? I don't see it running. Nothing's fucking running. Let's close it all off. Worried it's done this. I need 552.52. If it's changed this, I'm in trouble. It's updated it. Which means I need to go back to the last one. Okay, so I can't run the CTT tool anymore for updates. Can't do it. Down the rabbit hole. See, this is the driver I need, 551.52. That was the last time NVIDIA Reflex Latency Analyzer overlay worked. NVIDIA broke it after this, so I have to stay on this older driver for this environment. Down the rabbit hole. I can't run that update anymore. That's annoying. I'm going to have to reapply all the GPU tweaks. You try and do one little thing and it turns into this massive project. You just... Okay, that breaks that, that breaks that, that breaks that. It's like Domino Rally. Okay, it's just going to continue from where it was a second ago. No audio devices installed because NVIDIA, the NVIDIA audio is my audio, and obviously it doesn't have anything installed yet. Is this doing something? Is it doing something? Seem to be. It asked me to reboot. What's it doing? It obviously hasn't installed properly because the NVIDIA control panel's not even there. Doesn't have a driver according to this. Alright, let's run it again. Yeah, you can't even see right now. Let's run it again. Try and get the driver on. Running. Preparing for install. Oh, one person watching. Fed up of waiting to actually find what the test results are. What are your thoughts on OBS replay buffer and instant replay FPS wise? I stream on a different PC to what I gain. So I use OBS replay buffer to clip because it's the cleanest way of doing it. NVIDIA Instant Replay requires you running it on the gaming PC, which obviously then has an overhead on your game. I have 0 overhead on my setup. I mean, if you're streaming from your gaming PC, that's going to have a load of overhead anyway. And if you're streaming from it anyway, you might as well just use the replay buffer, because you're streaming from it anyway. Is that installed? The NV clean install version, isn't it? Let's have a look now. Right, 551.52. We're back to where we started. Yay! Alright. Or are we? I probably need to run a load of tweaks, don't I? Let's what's this? What do I need here? I need more options. Create shortcut. Alright, let's run these because we just had a Windows update, so let's run all my tweaks again. what was actually... Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's fine as well. Customers are in those update. See, whenever you run something from the downloads folder, it gives you this extra kind of level of protection where it says, are you sure? If it wasn't in the downloads folder, it wouldn't do that. Huh. Alright, so they're running. Let's run the network ones as well while we're on it. And optional side scaling. Yeah. Want 2 of these. We want to start at 6. This. Oh, come on. All right. Yep. Okay. So that's all done. We tried to run the CTT tweaks again, didn't we? But it didn't work last time. So let's try one more time. I'm not doing an update this time. Not doing that. That will mess up the GPU again. Right, standard. Get rid of the Adobe stuff. All of that lot. Run tweaks. This time it's run. It always takes a while, this does. To take this off. Oh, we go back to the beginning. I haven't heard back from Ninja yet. I emailed Ninja's business email yesterday saying, look, I can't stand looking at your FPS go up and down on your stream so much. It's driving my OCD mad. It's triggering me. I will tune your PC for free for you. Just so I don't have to watch your FPS go up and down all the time. He hasn't responded yet. I don't like watching a stream where the FPS goes up and down constantly. Drives me nuts. I'm pretty sure Ninja's got a quite expensive PC. His FPS should not be dropping below 200 playing pubs Fortnite. It shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be in the 100s on a very expensive PC. Can't look at it. God, look at it, I tell you. Let's run over, shut up. 2, look for microphone. Turn that off. Turn that off. All right. So, okay. Now reboot. Well, actually, I might rerun my script again one more time just in case that puts something over the top of it. Do this one again, just in case it updated something it should have done. All right, GPU actually, because we've just reinstalled GPU. We need to do those two. MSI utility. Sure they're all ticked, that can be ticked, that are allowed to be ticked, that have negative queues already. That's all fine. Nothing's higher than the other things. It's good. Interrupts. Let's double check that that's okay. Enter NVIDIA. Yeah, it's on. Should be on 4 or 5. Yeah, it's fine. No. Done on that. Disable dynamic P states. And IRQ priorities. They're probably set up right. Let's have a look. Uh, 29? Hello? That's rather low. What's going on here? 29? What? Okay, I'm going to reboot and see if that's still on 29. Never seen that on 29 before. Very low. I think the lowest I've ever seen is 58. Normally in the 70s, 69, 70s. Let's reboot and have a look. Goodbye. MS Info. Keys. Where are we? Okay, 68 now. Oh, they're rebooted. So 68 and 69. Yeah. '68, '69. Fine. 68 priority 1. 69 priority 2. That's my GPU and USB controller that controls all my input devices. Priority 1 and 2. Good. My process separation for Fortnite. Alright. That should be fine. Let's I'm been a bit up for a minute. Give it a minute. My processors are a lot higher on this environment because I'm running Experience Center as well. I'm not stripping down the drivers to exclude experience. It's quite a lot of processors for NVIDIA Alert. All those lot. Normally it would be about 80 otherwise. I need those for my NVIDIA reflex latency analyzer, so I don't really have a choice. Right, so let's see what this looks like. This should be around 0.6. Oh, hello. We're imbalanced. Induce performance mode, please. And exclude from pro balance. It's typically what you do with a game. So those two. Open this again. Let's play. Right, 0.63. That's high. That is high. Maybe it's still starting stuff up. Should be monitoring. The fact that none of the P cores being monitored. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Maybe all the drivers are just running on P cores. Yeah, that's a bit high. Restart that again. How long's it been up for? It's been up for 3 minutes. Anything else running in the background? Looks quiet. That is strange. It's parked. What have I got on here? Oh, connects. So CPU, yeah, it should be on those guys. I suppose if they're parked, then it can't be on those guys. 0.63. Still 0.7. It's a lot higher than my other environment. If I boot into my gaming environment, it's normally about 0.63, 0.61. So why? Do I forget to set up this? Okay, maybe that's it. I'm running G-Sync. Yeah, might be it. Might be it. Do I go output dynamic range? Well, we're gonna do a full, we'll do full to begin with. And then we'll change both of these to limited, okay? So we'll do another benchmark. That's an important one, like that. That. That's still on full. Alright. So we're full everything at the moment. So let's reboot and then have a look at this again. I've used reference mode. Yeah, I've already tested that before, Flying Saucer. That lowers latency by a whole 1 millisecond. So you want to be selecting that. Bigger cache makes no difference. Cache is never getting anywhere near the max. So default's fine. I've tested all those. I've tested unlimited. I've tested 100 gigabytes, 10 gigabytes. Driver default makes no difference whatsoever. Maybe if you were running lots and lots of games and that directory was getting full up with lots and lots of games, but I'm only running Fortnite here. So it's hardly using anything. Look, I'll show you how big the shaded cache directory is. It's this one. Yeah, let's see how big it is, right? 200 meg. Driver default's way bigger than that. So these are all the shaded cache files. Fortnite ones are these ones here. I've tested them. Gone down that path already. So now I just leave it driver default. Just can't be bothered changing it. Seriously look at deleting your EDID file in registry. Yeah, well, I don't see what that would do. Yeah, put it on my Discord if you've got a suggested tweak. Where are we? So, let me have a look at this. Oh, I've booted into the wrong environment. Not in my test environment. That's my main gaming environment. Oops. A lot of workmen outside today with drills. Very noisy outside my front window. job I've got anti-vibration mats under my computers. Right, back in here. We're back in the game. So now, okay, I won't start this yet. I won't start this for 2 minutes. Give it a bit to warm up. Took a while to start, didn't it? Give it another minute. I normally don't do any tests until 2 minutes after the computer started, just so it has a chance to start up all the services and everything else. That's a good idea. Right, ready? 0.63, please. Hey! So it needed that doing. That's a little. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Right. Let's retest. That. Retest. Do I need to rerun the shader cache again? Maybe. Every clean install should clean out that shader cache directory, and it didn't. So we just looked in there, didn't we? Good place. Where did we start that one from? It was... What was it? It was... 8 something. Hang on. 840. For time. 840. Gameplay. Ready? Steady. Go. Oh yeah. Definitely recompiling shader cache right now. Definitely recompiling it. So I'm gonna have to run 2 runs. Does he even know I'm chasing him? I mean, massively dipping. Chasing this guy across the entire map. So he went left. No, I didn't. I love Magneto gloves. Why didn't I hear a capture finish there? Keep the time. I didn't hear it. Right, now the shader cache is all compiled, ready to go.
Capture started.
What time is it? 10 o'clock. Debating whether to put a little clock on here so you guys can see what actual time it is for me. Maybe have an Alexander Vidar there and then a little kind of virtual clock here. Actually, that's where I normally show my network stats, so maybe not there. Mm -mm 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 -mm. 45 seconds. 1 second. So this is the full one.
Capture finished.
All right. Have a look. Yeah, I used to do a lot of 3D Mark stuff, but it's not really relevant to Fortnite when I'm benchmarking here. Fortnite's a CPU-bound game, and 3D Mark's basically just testing your GPU. So I used to do that. Then I moved from 3D Mark to superposition. So I pretty much just use superposition benchmarks for GPU overclocks and testing. But yeah, what's representative in game is often different to external benchmarks. All right, so this was this again. But yeah. Curious. This is when we run it for a second time. Curious how this stacks up when we ran it the first time. Windows Update difference. Better the second time, wasn't it? After the Windows Update, I reapplied everything. Better. Smoother. All right, so that's full. So let's now change it to partial. So we close all this off. Not yet, Zeppo. We ended up going down a rabbit hole. CTT updated my driver, so I had to put all my GPU drivers back on. So yeah, so we're back to where we started. Control panel. All right, so we're going to change here. We're going to change the resolution to limited for what I'm seeing, and we're going to do the same thing for the video as well. Video color settings. Limited there. Okay, so we've changed it on any videos playing. This is a video game, okay. And we've changed it. Oh, what? I applied that. Why has that gone back? Does that get reset when you redo the color settings? That's weird. We're on limited. We're on limited now, okay? So we're getting rid of RGB 16. It's only we're getting rid of the far whites and the far blacks, basically. Really darks and the really lights. Because apparently that is commonly used by many televisions. So I might as well be streaming at that if you guys can only see that anyway. So, all right, so let's have a look. See what difference it makes to performance. I've got to say, visually, I haven't noticed any difference at all yet from what I'm looking at. So that means white won't be white. It'll be just kind of off-white, I suppose, now. So I don't have white anymore. Again, no, that looks white to me. My cursor looks white. It's all white. All right, replace 40. We go again. 20, 840. Settle a bit, ready, steady, go. I'm new to Fortnite. Can you give me an FNCS backlink? I don't even know how to do that. This whole replay is basically just me chasing that one guy across the map after I've killed his whole team. I suppose it gets you to see a lot of the map. I'm not visually noticing any difference between what I'm looking at before and what I'm looking at now. It's meant to be less load on the GPU, this, having partial. So we can look at the GPU stats afterwards. But whether or not that makes any difference to FPS is another thing, given that the CPU and the memory in Fortnite are determining the FPS and not the GPU. Because it is a CPU bound game. I can see that go to 1 millisecond. No. I think we won this game, so I'm curious what on earth happened to that, that ocean person. Went off to Pleasant, clearly. The other thing is, if you look at the watts, the 144 watts that the CPU package is drawing right now, that is nowhere near the 320 that I've got limited. So Intel saying that, it's the motherboard manufacturer's fault for running unlimited watts is nonsense, because the games aren't getting anywhere near that. Makes no difference if you have unlimited watts in the game. Maybe it does it when you're running Cinebench and it crashes, but not in a game. It's not happening. Alright, so let's have a look. Color range limited. Limited 1. So look. See what we got? Okay, so we gained a whole 0.1 FPS. The lows were worse. Interesting. Was smoother. I am a little bit concerned about that reference mode wasn't applied. And then we're not comparing apples with apples. They look all the same. Let's change it to FPS. Pretty much identical. Variances limited didn't have any in the red. That's good. Let's have a look at the actual stats. All right, so it's still down clocking. Don't like the way it's down clocking. I need to fix that. That was really downclocking, wow. Okay, so let's look at what the GPU is doing. GPU load 22% in full, and average of 22% in limited. 33. So GPU, it's making absolutely no difference, is it? Pulling a little bit less power. I mean, not on average, it's not. It's maybe the peak was a bit lower. Temps wise, it's actually more limited. I'm not so sure that did literally anything. I suspect it was the reference mode that this the change here. I don't think that did absolutely anything. The CPU thread load is a bit lower on limited. Well, that's interesting. Anything that I can do to reduce the amount of CPU overhead is a good thing. So I like that. I like that a lot. It's definitely lower, isn't it? Look, total load 31%, limited total load 27%. This is supposed to affect the GPU, but from what I'm seeing, it's affecting the CPU. So maybe it only affects the GPU in GPU bound games and the CPU in CPU bound games, maybe. Hey, Gry! How you doing, buddy? Yeah, so maybe I should run the full one again and double check the reference mode. Maybe that's what I should do right now. In terms of visuals, that looks identical to me to normal. So I don't have a problem with limited in terms of gameplay. Let's go into here, control panel. So remember, we've changed it here, and we've changed it in here, the color settings. So they're both limited. So let's put them back to both to full. And the reference mode is on. And let's go back to full here as well. I have tested before these color depth things, and anyone that tells you to go to 10 or even 12, don't listen to them, because it's worse performance. All right. So we're back on full, and the override to reference mode is definitely ticked. So let's rerun the full one and see where we're at. Let's double check that that wasn't the difference in the replays there. I'm really liking the better stream quality. Really liking that. I watched a video, an OBS video yesterday about optimizing for video output. So I made those changes and the videos were much better. So I then looked up the guy's recommendations for stream settings and copied those, and voila, much better again. So happy with that. I'm gonna sneeze. Good old mute button. What would I do without you? Right, ready, steady, go.
Capture started.
Just killed his entire team. And instead of going to get their cards, one of his team is just crawling around behind him. Instead of going to get their cards, he literally goes across the opposite side of the map, this guy. The opposite side of the map. He goes all the way over here, all the way around to the right, tries to loop round, goes to Pleasant. I mean, what a teammate. Abandoning his team like that. It just runs. You get runners and rats in this game, and people that literally don't know how to play the game other than sitting in a car or using Magneto gloves or these gloves. Be really good next season when they're gone and they haven't got a clue how to shoot a gun. As I say, I've got some work to do this afternoon, so I'm not going to be able to play probably until about 4 or 5 today, maybe 6. I do not like how it's downclocking, and that's to do with the amp. So, what do I do though? Do I? See, I don't know. We'll have to do some playing after this. See if I can keep my amps up, but my stability's still there. So it's not like I'm overclocking anything. I'm underclocking stuff and turning stuff off.
Capture finished.
Alright, so that was the third full one we've run. Let's have a look. Notice I'm using American spelling just so people can understand me. There should be a U in here, really, for colour. Speak the same language. Alright, comparison, whack that over there. Alright, so what we got? So I think what we're looking at are these two. Let's get rid of these. It's just confusing things. So that's what we're looking at. Yeah. Better lows. Looks the same to me. Now that we put the reference mode to the same thing, look at the difference. Any difference there? CPU loads are the same. There's no difference, is there? Absolutely no difference in CPU. GPU's literally not moving. If anything, pulling a little bit more power with unlimited. Okay, that to me says there's no difference. We've just run those back to back with the same settings, with the one change. There's no difference. There's no difference. Average lows were a little bit better with limited. 1% average lows on full at 180. No, 180.5 versus 180.7. I mean, not much in that, is there? I mean, almost identical. I mean, it's a teeny tiny bit better. Teeny tiny bit better. Not really much in it. Don't know. Do I stick with a recommendation for a teeny tiny bit better? I don't think I do. Or do I? I mean, it's difficult. I mean, margin of error. I mean, if anything, here, it's kind of margin of error. Limited is a teeny tiny bit better, but look at that. That was a 254, the 1 percentiles. And that was worse with limited. So full's actually. I don't know. It's 0p0531.6.9. It's pretty much the only metric that's better in full, though. Anything better else in full? Not really. 1p1 metric is better in full. Everything else is better in limited, but by a teeny tiny sliver of margin. Temperature range was a bit bigger. I don't know, that's pretty much margin of error at this point. So small. Does it do any harm changing it to limited? No. Can say that. And is it doing less work because of it? Probably yes. Which is normally a good thing. Don't know. It's difficult to recommend something from this, isn't it? Doesn't do a lot. My opinion, doesn't do a lot. Nothing in it. Let's publish them. Nothing in it. All right. So the next thing I think I want to do is I want to work out how I can get margin of error pretty much there. So tight. Really nothing in it. So I don't know. Do I leave it on full? Do I leave it on unlimited? I don't know. I mean, one thing I do want to do, I want to fix this right here. Look. The fact that it's down clocking in a game while I'm playing, I don't want that doing. And the reason that's doing that is because I've reduced my amps, my current, down to 330 amps instead of 400. And the reason I did that is because it's not stable in wide cruncher otherwise. So I think probably full on the gaming PC and limited on the streaming PC where you have a capture card, limit that, and a webcam, limit that, because if people's TVs at home are limited anyway, they can only show that, so having full probably messes it up a bit. So yeah. So if you're setting up OBS, then change that to limited on the streaming PC, but probably just leave it full on the gaming one. Right. Yeah, so as I was saying, Y-Cruncher throws errors for me as soon as I go over 330 amps. So I might show you this. I might pull out my should I? should be about 21 seconds here. Yeah, 21.2, right? No errors. So it ran through. If you get a score, then it's not errored. So 21.2. So I don't, but, oh, so I'm going to do this again, but this time with hardware info running. I want to show you how many amps it's pulling peak when it runs this. Yeah? Because it's not near the 330 amp limit. So me setting it to 400 amp limit should make no difference to Y-Cruncher. So why does Y-Cruncher get unstable when I go from 330 to 400 if it's not pulling anywhere near that? So if we look for amps down here, there we go. So current in, current out. So at the moment, peak maximum amps I'm using sitting on desktop is 39. Yeah, my motherboard is supplying nothing more than, well, 46, 49 right now. So let's run Y-Cruncher again and keep an eye on this. So watch the current out. It's just gone up to 173, 189, 203. 210. So 210. So obviously there was a bit of an overhead running a monitoring tool on the right, which is why the score's a bit higher, a bit worse. 21.2 before, 21.4 now, yeah? So obviously running a monitoring tool adds overhead, so this is going to be worse. So that explains that. But the fact that I haven't got higher than 210 amps, so I'm not hitting the ceiling of 330. So if I increase the BIOS to say 400, it should have no effect on this. None. Because it wasn't ever getting near the limit. So let's remember 210, yeah? Power, it didn't hit the limit here either. Look, not got near 320 watts. So let's I'm going to put my amps back up to 400, and I'll show you what will happen. You won't see the BIOS when I do this. I can't be bothered pulling out the cable because that will change the in-game results if I don't have DisplayPort displaying it at a higher pixel. So we've got to press delete. So I did a full run through of my BIOS yesterday and posted it on YouTube. My latest YouTube video. I keep using the AI voice to text for subtitles. It gets some crazy stuff in there I have to try and correct. I don't think I caught it all. Certainly doesn't like the word P-core. Kept doing parkour or something. It was weird. Alright, advanced CPU configuration. So we're going to change my current limit back up to 400. And F10 that. Maybe it's related to the AC/DC load line stuff. You have too much of that. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to try and get this stable on Y-Cruncher with 400 amps. That's the plan here. Right, so we're at 400 amps. Still at 320 watt limit. I just don't like handcuffing the voltage when it's asking for a specific voltage and it can't get it. Because if you're limiting the watts and you're limiting the amps, then that limits what the voltage can do. Because power equals amps times voltage. Right, so this normally gives an error now. Seems alright this time though, so far. There we go. Coefficient is too large. So it errored. So it got the calculation wrong because the CPU is now unstable and didn't give the correct result. But if we have a look at how much power that's now pulling, what was it before? Open this again. 210, wasn't it? 210 amps before. Yeah, 52. Let's see what it hits here when it throws an error. On this. It didn't even get anywhere. It's just unstable. So when it's working fine, it's not pulling more than 210 amps. But when I increase it from 330 up to 400 amp limit, it then throws errors. There we go. That's interesting. Look, it went up to 248 amps there. See that? So when it was running fine, it was running at 210 amps. It's obviously bugging out when it's trying to go higher than that. So, I mean, does that mean my CPUs are already unstable? So I'm sure I didn't have this problem with the old one. You can see where my power limits are. PL1, PL2. Where are you? Here. So see, I'm limiting to 320. But if I'm limiting my watts and I'm limiting my amps, that means my voltage has nowhere to go sometimes. Or BIOS limitation. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reboot. I'm going to pull out, so you can have a look at my BIOS. I'm going to pull out the DisplayPort cable because I want to get it stable with higher amp, because limiting it to 330 amps is basically downclocking the P-cores. Let me make sure I'm in performance mode as well. So 5.9. So watch what happens now. So. Check failed. So that failed. Yeah, so it's not downclocked it there when it ran that. Core thermal throttling 94, really? Restart that, run it again. No, it's already crashed. Oh, I just wanted to get to do something. Coefficient too large. This is stuck. 6 seconds. Not updating. Well, why aren't you updating? There we go, 29 seconds. It's not like it's pulling a huge amount of more voltage either. I mean, 1.45 is pretty much normal. So Why is it unstable? Right, I'm going to pull out the cable and reboot. So you guys can see. You guys can see. Oh. It's a little bit. Get this. Oh. Right, should I see that now? It's not about what it shows there, it's about settings not working properly, even if you don't know the menu. Maybe. So, yeah, so here I'm setting it to, so Intel say that for my processor, it should not go beyond 400 amps. I'm limiting it to 400 amps. But if I go, I don't know, 340, it will still throw errors. If I go 330, it will be fine. But then I get downclocking of my CPU. I mean, maybe it's, you know what I might try and do? Might go with 400, and I might stick this on Intel defaults, which I think is 111 and 111. We can have a look. See if that makes any difference. It's not sure what dials I have here to adjust to get that stable with that current. Don't want it downclocking. Shouldn't need to downclock. The temperatures are nice and low. It's just basically trying to pull some voltage it can't pull. And so it downclocks. All right. Oh yeah, you know what I was gonna, oh no, I need to do that in hardware info. Take that off, start that. Should tell me what the AC/DC load lines are in here. Right, so what's it set the AC/DC load lines to? Okay. AC/DC, so yeah, look, they're both 1 point, so Intel defaults are both 1.1. Now, instead of the 1.1, 0.6, it's now 1.1, 1.1. Because they want you to run the same AC and DC load lines. Yes, thank you. So I'm streaming it now. All right, so there we go. So 400 amps. All right, let's see if we can get Wave Cruncher running now. That's what made something for Intel a few days ago. Yeah, builds was always saying stuff. Okay, 21.8. So that's now looks stable. Run it again with running sensors only. All right. Whoa, 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 whoa! How much voltage? That. I was on 1.45 before. Now it's pumping in 1.56, going up to 1.6. That's going to burn out my CPU. Thank you, Intel, for your wonderful defaults. God. Fucking hey. Oh, there is such a mess. Holy moly. It seems more stable now. So that's with the 400 amps. So it's the AC/DC load line. I think I might play around with that a little bit. I might try 60/100 instead of 60, 21.8. So the performance isn't as good. But yeah, that shouldn't be pumping in that amount of voltage now. I mean, look, it's drooping massively as well. 1.63. Flipping it. No, 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 no. How much worse is 10-bit versus 8-bit? That's in the premium section. So it should be in the benchmarks in the premium section. All right, so we're going away from Intel defaults. Bye-bye. We're going back to advanced, so I can set it manually. And the MSI defaults are actually this for this BIOS version. They used to be 100 and 110. I'm going to try that. Oh, you can't find it there. Okay. Wait, am I doing? Oh, damn it. Do that. Um, multitask. Sorry, trying to look up this thing for you. Where is it? Didn't do it that long ago. Oh, I actually got it on here. You can still be on here. So let's see if it's on here. Come on. Wakey wakey. What's that being weird? Okay, where is it then? Cute. Right, have I got it on here? Yeah, it's from last year. It's bound to be on here. Yep. 8, 10, 12. Why would I use an app to test software latency when I can have hardware that can test end-to-end latency? Why would I test the bit in the middle when I can test complete end-to-end? Don't need to do that. Yeah, they're pretty much the same. Yeah, there was no difference really. That was the smoothest one, the lowest standard deviation, and it gave the best FPS. Not much in it though. Reflex latency analyzer built into my 360 Hz monitor, so it measures the time when you click to the time you see it on screen. So it includes all the bits in the middle. It's way more accurate than estimating your end-to-end latency from the software bit in the middle. Way more accurate. Well, that's what you want. That's all you really care about. That's why you do latency tests, because you want your mouse click to see it on screen quicker. The effects of it. That's ultimately what you're trying to get to have a really low latency for doing that. So all of my latency tests end to end. So way more accurate than anyone else doing software latency tests. I sit in Fortnite Creative swinging pickaxes for hours, just testing over and over and over. I mean, I can show you like. Um, have a look at this. What's that? This benchmarks. Else testing. What access is there? What's the date on Latency benchmarks. Got it. So yeah, I do loads of end-to-end testing. So this was on my old PC, so I was typically around 7.6 on my old PC end-to-end latency. And then my new PC is like 6.4, so much lower latency. So each one of these is 50 measurements, and then you take the average of 50 measurements, and then you do it again, take another 50 measurements, and then another 50 measurements, and then I average all the averages. So each one of those, that's 150 samples right there, and to get an average. So yeah, I test loads of different settings for things, different so I test FPS with CapFrame X with the same replay, exact same slice in a game, and I test end-to-end latency in that game, changing different settings. So I literally couldn't be any more precise on my benchmarks compared to anyone else. No one else is measuring this stuff. Nobody. It's only me being OCD. All right. Oh, thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure that it has the latency analyzer built in. Does it? That BenQ? It's on the list of monitors that. Let's go back to here. The list of monitors that has it. Video reflex latency analyzer. This one. This link. Might be this. No. Where's the page? Is that it? Um, um, Might be this one. Come on, where's the list of monitors? I can't remember where the page is now. Seems to just be going around in a circle right now. It's normally a thing with supported monitors. Not that. Not that. This one? I thought it was this one. If they change this, there's normally 3 tabs and it shows you the mouse, the supporting monitors, and the supported games. And there's 3 tabs across the screen. How have they changed this? What is latency anyway? Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. I'm testing end-to-end latency. So from the mouse click all the way through to actually seeing it on the screen. And if you're using software to look at the latency, then the only bits you're going to be looking at is this bit in the middle. You're not getting that bit, and you're not getting that bit. And those 2 bits can change depending on what configuration you have for that bit. Well, specifically the display. So a lot of the time you think you're getting lower latency, and the display then doesn't like it, and you're actually getting worse latency. So without knowing the complete end-to-end, you're not measuring latency at all. You're just guessing. But I can't find where the list is at the moment. There's a list of mice and a list of monitors somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where it is. Right, what were we doing? A million years ago, we were working out how to stabilize my CPU, weren't we? Without reducing the current. That's what we were doing a million years ago. So we've just taken that down to 6100, the AC/DC. That was the last thing we did, right? No, so it still doesn't like that. I think it's the 60. Might try 7110. Might try that. Yeah, I didn't think any BenQ monitors are supported. don't think they are. You need a you need a 360 Hz monitor with the NVIDIA Reflex Latency Analyzer chip built into it. Keep forgetting to go into the BIOS. Yeah. Did you find the link, Zeppo? Oh, you found the link. Well done. Right, back in the BIOS. Thank you, thank you. Right, so AC/DC. So we're gonna go 10 for that. We're gonna go 70 for this. The lower you go on this, the less voltage it's going to be pumping into the CPU, the less heat as well. But if you go too low, obviously it causes instability. So let's go up from 60 to 70. See what that does. Yeah, not many people have the ability to actually measure end-to-end latency. And even fewer actually then use it. Do you have a voltage limit in the BIOS? No, I do not. Right, let's have a look. Okay, nope, doesn't like it. So gone up from 1.45 up to 1.47 right now. So we went from 60 to 70 and it's bumped up the voltage a bit. Beltoid. Why am I? There we go.
Hey guys, Buildzoid here, and we're back with the 4900K on the Gigabyte
36
G790
minutes.
Aorus Master X motherboard.
It just drives me
In the
nuts
previous
watching
video,
his
I showed you
videos
how
because
you can
he takes
block the
so
CPU from
long
sending
to say
ridiculous
one
vid
thing.
requests to
Just
the motherboard.
condense
Today we're
it,
going to be taking
please.
a look at getting some more performance out of the CPU without turning off any safety features, and still having the vid locked down to like less than 1.4 volts. So let's get into it. So I am on the F7 eBIOS, right? And with the F7 eBIOS, we of course have the Intel default settings. We're not going to be turning those off. That's kind of the whole point of this to me, is like get as much performance back without, you know, doing what the without just turning off all of the safety features. Or yeah, well, mostly just not turning off the safety features, because technically one of the things I'm showing you here today can negatively impact stability. Also, because we don't have the vid limit turned on, the CPU has already managed to send a vid request for over 1.5 volts. You know what's funny? In an earlier take of this video, I actually had this hit all the way up to 1.61. It's just that yeah, but partway through that take, like, I made a mistake, so it just got scrapped. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to first of all turn on the vid limiting. So we're going to go into Intel VR Control. We're going to turn this on, and we're just going to set a 1400 millivolt vid limit, because I don't know if anything higher, like, I'm not even sure that 1.4 is safe, but it's definitely safer than the 1.5 that you get on a lot of i9s right out of the box. So yeah, now the problem if you just do this vid limit is that you basically lose your 6 gigahertz boost unless you have like a top 1% CPU. Because, yeah, most i9s, as far as I know, have vids somewhere between 1.45 and 1.5 volts for 6 gigahertz boost. So, yeah, if you set a vid limit of like 1.4 volts, yeah, you're never going to see 6 gigahertz boost. So, anyway, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the load line calibration to high.
I'm not touching
Now
that
that
in
we've set the load line
MSI.
calibration to high, we can actually lower the AC/DC load line settings a bit. So we're going to set these both to 55. And the reason I'm setting these to 55 is from past testing, like from some other testing that I've done, I've figured out that this motherboard has the stock, like the V-droop on the voltage regulator is set to 1.1 milliohms. When you set the vCore load line calibration to high, that basically applies a 0.5 multiplier to the stock, like to the load line
This
setting
isn't
of
going to
the
work with an
so
MSI motherboard.
1.1 times 0.5 is 0.55. And that's why we punch in 55, because basically what the AC/DC load line settings are doing is they're telling the CPU what the VRM load line is. They don't actually, well, the AC load line is at, like, I'll have another video explaining what the AC load line does, but yeah, like these don't directly control, yeah, these kind of don't directly control the voltage regulator. They're basically just like informing the CPU about what the motherboard is going to do. So, and then the CPU like adjusts its vid requests based on those expectations. So yeah, so we're going to do that. And that's all we're going to do in this part of the BIOS.
As
And
I
now,
say, the default for MSI is 60-100 at the moment. It used to be 60-110. So that to me is very motherboard specific. So if everything he does after this is based on that, then it's not going to work on other people's. It's not going to work. And I don't know whether I can set a voltage limit.
Our CPU vCore. Oh wait, nope, that's the wrong menu. We're going to set vCore voltage mode to adaptive, and we can actually leave this in legacy or selection, and quite frankly, legacy is fine. And now you can actually do negative voltage offsets.
Really?
Like
what, even with CP on, which is meant to conflict?
Auto, and then you go dynamic vid, and you set like -0.1, This doesn't work if you have Intel default settings turned on, because the Intel
CEP.
default settings enable
CEP. Thank you.
and basically CEP gets very upset
Yes.
if the if the voltage that the motherboard is sending to the CPU doesn't match the vid and like expected voltage that this like what the CPU is expecting. So if we have a load line of 0.55 milliohms, AC load line set to 0.55 milliohms, and then we set this negative voltage offset, which this negative voltage offset here, this isn't getting applied to the vid request, this is getting applied to the voltage regulator. So basically the CPU will send off a vid request where it's like, hey,
Oh my
I
god,
want
it's
1.2
so
volts,
ridiculous
and,
just to get a standard Intel CPU that you buy to work. This is so ridiculous. This is absolutely absurd. You buy a product, it should work. You shouldn't be messing around with the AC/DC load lines, the V-core voltages, so the vid voltage. You shouldn't be messing around with this stuff. And it's specific to your setup, so you need to know what you're doing in order to get it to work. So unless Buildzoid goes on everybody's PC on the planet to dynamically tune their CPU just to be stable, this isn't a viable solution either. Because everyone's going to be having different motherboards and different CPUs and different levels of degradation and different silicon lotteries and different memory requirements, how much it's taxing the memory controller on the CPU, and different number of E-cores, different whether hyperthreading. Everyone's going to be running a different solution. So this is insanely specific to his setup and will only work after he's kind of worked out what the settings are that work for his setup, which then won't apply to everybody else. So, my God, this is ridiculous. This is not a viable solution. It's not viable. It is so ridiculous. So he's now doing an adaptive undervolt, and he's using a specific load line calibration to his motherboard, because all the motherboard load line calibrations are different, and they're different for each CPU. So what he set won't work with everybody else's, but then he's basing his undervolt on those load line calibrations that he's specifically set. I don't know how I can even apply this to mine, frankly. Even though I 75% understand what he's doing.
Simplify this for myself. Let's say 0.5. Okay, for convenience 0.5. It's actually 0.55, but for convenience 0.5. So at 200 amps, the CPU, requests 1.3 volts, and
oh my God. So okay. So number one, I need to find out where I can limit my vid voltage, and I'm not even sure where to do that in an MSI. I can change my load line calibration, but I'm not going to do that because that messes things up. As I've said before, if I go from the default mode 8 to mode 7, so the only increment that I can change, mode 7 is too much. It adds too much voltage and it adds too much heat, and you get it cripples the performance because then it starts thermal throttling. So I can't do that. I need like load line calibration 7.5, which doesn't even exist, is what I need. So what he's done on his motherboard, that step I can't even do on mine. So the only step I can see that I can do on mine at the moment is the AC/DC load line. Setting that to 55 is going to be even more unstable. Because we've just shown that 60 and 70 with the 400 amps is unstable. So 55 is going to be is in the other direction. It's even more unstable. Yeah, yeah. The only way he knows this is because he's measuring it. I mean, I could run Cinebench and run hardware info and see what the droop is, and then try and counter the voltage droop. That's not what you. That's what you normally do with configuring load line calibration. And so I can get my load line to kind of go down less, but it's massively increasing temperatures, and then you start getting thermal throttling, which I'm not getting at the moment. So I get better performance because I'm not thermal throttling. The whole point of this is to get better performance that's stable. But if you're knackering your thermals, then you're going to get worse performance. This is so specific to his environment that this is not translatable, I don't think, unless you've got the same CPU, the same motherboard, and same rough silicon lottery and degradation. My AC/DC is fine if I reduce the current limit, but by reducing the current limit, I'm downclocking during gaming, and I don't want to be doing that. But if I increase the current limit, it doesn't downclock during gaming, but then Y-Cruncher throws errors, so it shows it's not stable. But Y-Crunch is quite demanding, whereas the game is not as demanding, so I could get away with it in the game. I could get away with having 400 volt, 400 amps, and the 60, 110 AC/DC. I can get away with that in game. But I want to have it stable in Y-Cruncher as well. But it doesn't seem that I can have my cake and eat it. If I start limiting my voltage to 1.4, I am not getting 5.9 gigahertz anymore. And there is no point in me having paid the extra money for a KS. None. I'm basically just throwing that money in the bin. So maybe I can set it to a 1.45 limit. I don't even know where to set that. I don't even know where to set it. My voltage limit. There is a what is it? There is an Intel feature that I can enable to stop it going undervolting too much in here. So there's this. Where is it? Where am I looking? Where am I looking? There we go. Under voltage protection, and that's on auto, and that's disabled. So I could enable that. I could enable that as well, even though I'm not going higher than. No, I don't need to go that because I'm not going higher than the 6.2 ever. That's the theoretical boost max. So I can just have that. But that will stop under voltage happening. That way enabled. And as I say, the default, if you go with normal, that sets the MSI defaults to 6100. That's what that does. But I like to be able to control it manually. If he's setting for 55, he's setting these both to 55 based on some calculation that he's done on his CPU and his motherboard. Great. Great. Great for him. Not so great for me. I mean, do I just go with normal, leave it alone, and just trust the motherboard BIOS to do it for you? No, but normal, as I say, 60, 100 when I've measured it, put it on normal, and then gone in, booted up, and looked at it in hardware info. But where am I going to set the voltage limit here? I can. Where do you set the voltage limit for the vid? Where do you do that in MSI? I really don't want to start messing around with these. I mean, this will hard set the voltages. I don't want to hard set them. I want to limit them. No, there's no controller. With that. But where's the vid limiter? Overvolt protection. I think that's enabled already. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have an Alienware 360 monitor. Don't really want to play with that. I mean, is it that? But that, I was to say, I mean, what's the aux voltage? I don't know. Where do you set the vid voltage limit? From all the 360 ones that have reflex, what would you recommend? Well, I really like my one. I really like my one. My one is where's Zeppo's link? Supported products. My one is Dell Alienware. That's my one. The Dell Alienware one. Really good monitor. That Ship uses that. Quite a few people. Rapper uses that. I use that. Zeppo uses that in chat. I think. Yeah, I think Zeppo uses that. The AW23, that one. Yeah, so where do I set this? Anyone? Remembering old Ninja. I rate Billzoid. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about, and he, he's done so much testing that he knows what he's talking about. But he doesn't really. I don't know if I was taking him into a meeting, a business meeting with some C-level executives in a meeting, like the CEO, the CTO, etc. I'd need a translator for him so that they could understand what on earth he's talking about. Because it's such a low level that it's difficult to understand from a high level, and he doesn't really kind of paint a picture or explain things that a layman could understand at all. So he's a real techie, and that's why his videos go on for like 3 hours, 36 minutes in this case. So yeah, hard to digest, but really good information. So the IA VR current limit. Wait, no, that's not it. Oh, maybe it is that. No, sorry, the IA VR voltage limit. Can you see anything in there on my MSI that has any kind of voltage limits? Because I can't. There's no limit. Wait, let me. So type LIMIT. Is that it? Or is that it? No, that's the current limit. That's amps. These are all amps. I don't really want to be messing around with any of this stuff. I just don't. What does that unlock? What does that unlock? I can't remember what that does. I don't think it's. I think that's meant to be disabled. I think that's normally disabled. Where's my video from yesterday? Because I went through this, so I need to double check this. That's what I just changed, right? Uh, There we go. Yeah, disabled. All right, so that isn't it. That ain't it. So I don't understand where I'm meant to actually change this voltage. Probably one of these. Over voltage protection. Wait, is it one of these? Is it this? I really don't want to be messing around with this. I mean, it's not like I'm hard setting 1.4 volts here, am I? This is relative. So how am I meant to do this? No, I've never seen that option. Yeah, MSI doesn't have this option, I checked. So I can't even do this. I'm not touching the SA. Leave that alone. I think most motherboards have sorted that out, so it's not going too high these days. It used to go really, really high. It used to be like 1.4 volts, 1.5 volts. That's 1.2, so that's fine. I used to play around with those a lot when I was overclocking on my old PC. I'm not touching that. No, it doesn't have that option either, the interrupt redirection mode. Yeah, so, I mean, the Buildzoid stuff, thanks, but useless. Thanks, but useless. So my only dials here are this 60 and 110, which give the best results, but are unstable if I have if I have more than 330 amps. But then I'm getting downclocking of my frequencies during gameplay, which I don't want. And the only way to stop that is to having more current. But then as soon as you have more current, Y-Crunchy gets unstable. So you can see the circle I'm in right now. I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of interrupt redirection mode. No such thing. No such thing in MSI. Right, so where are we at right now? So if Buildzoid's suggesting that you just, well, this is, I mean, I'm not really using the DC, am I? Because it's not a laptop. So this one's the important one. And then having them the same, 70, let's go with 80. Just try them, I guess. Keep trying different ones. Trial and error is what we're at. No, I don't use SE Win. Don't use it because I'd never recommend it to somebody else to use because I'm basically hanging myself. If I start recommending that to other people to use, then they're going to be going, why does my computer not work anymore? And it's your fault. So there's no way in hell I'm ever using that thing. Way too risky for me to start recommending that to anyone. Right, so where we're at. Guess I'll have to buy an Alienware one. Yeah, I mean, they've come down in price a lot as well. I think when I bought mine, it was like £900. I think they're a lot cheaper now, probably half that. Right, stable first. Nope, not stable. Coefficient is too large. What do we have to go up to here in order to make it stable? What's the kind of voltages am I looking at right now? Emir, thank you for the sub. I mean, I'm over 1.5 volts. No. Huge no. Huge no. And it's still not stable on 1.5 volts. This is what's getting me. €600. Still quite expensive, isn't it? I've been running this thing for, I don't know, 4 years maybe? This monitor. Really good monitor. So I'm going to go back to what I had before. Let's start messing around with this. It's not happy. The more you change it, the more it's going to be unhappy. And again, this is so specific to my motherboard, my CPU. So I'm usually on that. That keeps the voltage nice and low. That keeps it to under 1.45, which is fine given I'm running 5.9 gigahertz. That is fine. The problem is then this. This is then the problem. I might see if I can go up a teeny tiny bit. Because I know 340 doesn't work for my CPU. And I know 330 does. So let's half the difference and see if we can eke out a tiny bit more performance. I mean, the good thing is the temperatures come down. If you limit the current more and more, the temperatures come down too. So my desktop temperature is normally about 31, which is pretty good. Running at 5.9 gigahertz on the desktop. That's pretty good. So, Benchmate. It's difficult, again, it's difficult for me to recommend what people should set their values to in their registry, in their BIOS, sorry. Because the amount of fine-tuning I'm having to do to get my 14900 KS stable, it's very specific to my 14900 KS. And if I got another KS chip, it'd probably be different again. This is so ridiculous. A product should just work and it should have headroom. It should have some headroom so you can overclock it a little bit. These things are just unstable out of the box. My only requirements are here: wide cruncher stable, in-game not downclocking. They're my two requirements. So that score notes. So I was started at 21.2. We're now down to 21.0 just by adding 5 amps. Don't remember. Hey, bike. So we've added 5 amps and we are still stable. Let's run it again to double check. I normally run this 3 times just to make sure, because sometimes it can run through and sometimes it can error. So I normally run it 3 times and then I run Cinebench R15. This is a ridiculous. I pretty much know what I'm doing and I'm struggling to make this thing work. How is everybody else meant to do it? And this is okay. Imagine a data center, a business data center has bought a ton of these CPUs, like, I don't know, 10,000, and they have to go through this process for every single one. That's not happening, is it, for a data center? They just whack it in and let it run. And if 50% of them are failing, oh my God, Intel's done. Intel are done. Soon as the B2B customers start migrating over to AMD, Intel are done. I don't care what market share they have right now. Okay, well, it seems to still be working. 21.2 again. So 335 seems fine for now. Let's have a look at Cinebench, because sometimes Cinebench R15 is actually a bit more picky than Y-Cruncher. So let's see if this freezes. Okay, it's looking good at the moment. 4165 to B. There we go. 4191. New high score. Obviously, I'm not going to get 40,000s because I've turned off hyperthreading and I've turned off half my E-cores. So I'm not going to get anywhere near that, but I should be about 26,500. There you go, 26,648. Right, so I'm curious what that is pulling. Where's in terms of voltages? Should be about 1.45 volts. It shouldn't really be going any higher than that. I'm happy with that as a daily, 1.45 volts. 1.5, I ran 1.5 in my memory for my overclock DDR4 for what? 2 years, and after that I had to bump it up to 1.55 volts just to get it stable. So that's obviously degrading. So 1.5 is typically not a good thing. So you can see here, look, 1.45 just above on desktop right now, sitting at a solid 5.9 for the P-cores. So we'll run that again. We'll have a look at. We'll keep an eye on these. So I've got a bit of V-droop going on there. As I say, if I play around with the load line calibration to stop that dropping, then it just bumps in a ton of temperature, and then you get thermal throttling. And at the moment, I'm not really getting any thermal throttling. Okay, so still over 26,000 with this. What we're looking at. So that drooped down to 1.2. I was finding I was getting crashes when that was getting blue screen of death, when it was going under 1.1. Anything under 1.1, even though this is down clocking, went down to 5.5 there, which is not too bad for a Cinebench that's pulling. Look, 83 degrees, that's good. That's good, 83 degrees. If it's getting into the 90s and hitting 100, then you're going to be getting thermal throttling. See, look, no thermal throttling. You're getting none. In fact, nothing is throttling whatsoever here. The only reason it's downclocking is because it's low. The voltage is going lower, so it's choosing the frequency associated with that, which is why it's going down. I can't control the voltage frequency, the VF tables. That's hard coded onto the. Well, that's controlled by the motherboard and the CPU. I can't do anything about that. I think that's actually only controlled by the CPU, isn't it? There's vid tables. They printed onto the CPU themselves or something. What? What should I pull there? Well, according to this, I only pulled 120 watts. I doubt that. There's no way that only pulled 120 watts. No, it pulled 254 watts there. So I'm not even getting near the 320 watt limit. And in a game, in Fortnite, I won't be pulling more than about 180. So the power limit was never the problem, ever. So Intel telling motherboard manufacturers, stop doing unlimited power, had nothing to do with it. Jay's 2 cents saying, oh my God, it's 4,996. It's pulling too much power. That's too much. It's not even pulling. It's not even pulling 200. When you limit the current and you limit the watts, and so that ain't it. So this is stable and the best performance I've had so far. So maybe my only dial in this is the current limit. That's the only dial I have. The 60-110 keeps this nice and low. And it's still running 5.9. And it's stable. And it's cool. I'm running about 40 degrees centigrade right now. Yeah, about 40. 40. CPU package 40. It's my current. Well, that's fine. Happy with that. 30s and 40s is really good for desktop. So, yeah. I think that's all I can really do. I'm not using the Buildzoid method. I've got my performance pretty good. It's stable. It's cool. So, from my perspective, my method's better. Right. What's been happening while I've been away? Okay, I'm going to reply to that. Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. Right, so what are we doing? So we've done the color thing. That really didn't make any difference. I've pushed my voltage, my current as high as it can go. What else? I don't think there's much else I can do, really. Until we get this microcode update, which I'm assuming it isn't out yet. I'm still waiting for the 125 microcode update that fixes that error that Intel found. MSI Z790. Yeah, still not out, but nothing since May. So the current microcode is 123. And Intel released 125 weeks ago, and I've been waiting for MSI to release that. But then we've got the new microcode fix as well that's meant to be happening mid-August to wait for to get to the latest thing. So I'm stuck on this one at the moment. No, I don't think there is anything else to test in the BIOS. I don't think I have any other dials that I can turn to adjust the performance up and then kind of keep it stable in another way. The main dials, whatever you fix your frequency at, 5.9 in my case, the AC/DC, the power limit, and the current limit. They're the dials that I've got to play with, and then the load line calibration goes into there as well. But as I say, for MSI, the mode 8 is what I've got at the moment, the default, and then mode 7 is too much. So you don't have anywhere to go between mode 7 and 8. So load line calibration's out. And if you try and undervolt at all, even though I've got CEP off, then you get instability as well. So I could maybe try to undervolt now, but I found even a 10 millivolt undervolt makes the system unstable. I start getting Prime 95 blue screens of death. So I've stopped playing with it. There's no other dials I can turn, really. Say that one goes up a bit, that one goes down a bit, and adjust it. Oh, that's just right. And nothing else I can play with in the BIOS. What I need is a new BIOS and new microcode and potentially a newly designed CPU. That's where we're at. I mean, at this point, I think what I'm going to do is if it annoys me any more than it is right now, or degrades anymore, where I keep having to drop the current to keep it stable, if it degrades at all, I'm going to jump ship to AMD. I have already got permission, I've already got approval from the company that I bought the computer from to send it back to them. They will change out the CPU and they will change out the motherboard for me to AMD, all free. So I've already got that approval. So if I want to jump ship, I can jump ship. I'm going to wait and see what happens with Intel's microcode, and if it nerfs performance worse than what I've got already, no, I'd be switching to the new 9000s, but definitely an X3D, yeah. So it would need a different motherboard, obviously, as well, because it's different socket shapes. So they'd have to change out the motherboard, they'd have to change out the CPU, they'd have to rebuild all the custom cooling loop on it. So all of this stuff, all the custom cooling loop, they'd have to take out. Well, they'd have to kind of move all the stuff out of the way, replace the front plate for the EK front plate for the cooler, and they'd have to refill all the custom cooling stuff again. Yeah, no, I can't put an AMD in my motherboard. Pretty sure I can't put an AMD in my motherboard. Well, that should be out very soon. It's meant to be released to the. It's meant to be released to testers. They've just delayed it, haven't they? It was meant to be about a week ago, and they delayed it because they found some samples that weren't up to their standard. And now they're doing it about the same time as Intel. I think they just want to see what Intel's going to do with the microcode stuff. I think they just want to wait, and then they can compare and say, look, we're still better. Not the 3D? Sure. Anyway, I mean, Intel's new chips, the 15th gen, aren't coming out until like Christmas anyway. So, I mean, I've got a year warranty on this thing, at least. Maybe 2 years, I can't remember now, but it's at least 12-month warranty. So if I can demonstrate any degradation at all, which I can do that now, then I can change it whenever I want. So if I wanted to, I could wait for the 15th gen to come out and get a new motherboard, new 15th gen, and a new CPU for free. If I wanted to, send it back, they'll swap it all out for me. So yeah, I'm treading water at the moment. Treading water. See what it's like. All right. Well, I'm gonna go make some lunch. September, okay. Yeah, September. But I don't think the Intel 15th gen will be out until like Christmas time. Well, it's meant to be end of the year. But for consumers to actually buy, it's typically kind of around Christmas, New Year for consumers to be able to get hold of it. Well, I really hope they have fixed it in the next gen Intel. But they'll be swapping a lot of people's CPUs for 15th gen if this microcode fix doesn't work, or if it's a big performance nerf, because they can't do it. If it's a performance nerf, then that's a class action lawsuit right there. They've done a bait and switch. They've sold a product based on a certain performance reviews. They've sold it based on that, and then they introduce a microcode to nerf the performance massively. They can't do that. If they do that, that's a class action lawsuit, and that's a massive recall of all products, like they did in the 90s. Didn't Intel do a mass recall in the 90s? Intel recall, wasn't it in the 1990s? 1997, sorry, 1994, Intel recalled the defective processors in what was the first full recall of a computer chip. It incurred a 475 million pre-tax charge to recover replacement and write off these microprocessors. So it's cost them nearly, what's that, $500 million? $500 million to fix it, and they had nowhere near as many processors in the market in 1994 as they do now. So that was the last time that Intel had to do a full recall. And if the microcode does not fix it, they are going to have to do that again. Stay tuned. Right, I'm going to go and make some lunch. I have to do lunch a little early because I've got a meeting at 1 today. So I've got an hour basically to cook lunch and eat lunch. So I'm going to call it at that point. What have we discovered today in this? How long did that take? How long have I been streaming for? 2 hours, 46 minutes. We have discovered that the color limited and full makes almost no difference. That's what we discovered. That and that. Limited and full. Limited is a teeny tiny bit smoother. Like teeny tiny bit smoother, but that, for some reason that low was a bit off. So I don't think it really matters whether you use color range full or limited. There's nothing in it, really nothing in it. And we've discovered I can go up an extra 5 amps and still be stable. But maybe I could go up a teeny tiny bit more. But I still don't know. But I mean, the annoying thing is, look, this is down clocking during gaming. It's going down to 5.8, and I don't want it going down to 5.8. It's mostly, obviously, mostly staying near 5.9 because that's 96. So it's only going down to 5.8 very briefly. But yeah, they're all doing it. In fact, saying that only went down even briefer, so maybe I should be saying limited. I might go limited if it's doing less CPU. There's nothing in that though, really. Even 82. CPU low max. Nothing in this. Was a bit smoother. So do I recommend limit? Would I run color limited myself? I don't know. I didn't notice a difference when I was looking at it while I was playing. But that's all we've concluded, really. I can get away with another 5 amps, and there's not really much difference between running full and limited colors. Right, I'm going to go make lunch. I'll be back again later this afternoon. Not sure what time, maybe 5, 6 p.m. and then I should stream most of the evening. So if you guys are around, come say hi, and I will catch you a bit later. All right, bye for now, guys.